Well, as you can see...
You were gone for ages! And now you're suddenly sitting here musing? Hey, what's with the silence?
You never think things through before asking questions. I'm giving you some time to
Paimon's so mad! Paimon's gonna give you an ugly nickname! There's just nothing super obvious to pick with this guy!
Well, you've heard nothing to suggest I left this whole time. Anyway, you plan to leave our...
Yep. We're not gonna find out anything more. Enough with the silent treatment!
No. I'm just surprised that you decided to team up with...
Alhaitham, you haven't helped us out at all ever since we arrived at Aru Village.
Yeah, you're all...
While you were investigating, I had my own work to do, which I've now...
Really? Paimon doesn't believe...
To be honest, we aren't really a team, so I have no Not to mention that going separate ways allowed me to find...
Huh? Right here in the village?
Correct.
What did you learn?
I'm going to take you to someone. But...
What does that mean?
How do you think the residents of Aru Village feel about what we're doing? In other words, do you truly believe every single...
You mean, some of them lied to us?
Hiding the truth does not necessarily equate to lying. Remember what Candace said? Most people in Aru Village don't necessarily care which deity is in charge of Sumeru. By contrast, the perils of their daily lives are ever-present concerns. They won't simply share everything they know with you without good... Glad you're following along. Among those you have talked to, there's someone who was consciously keeping you out of the loop. The reason being, to someone who only wants to...
Those eyes. Those fierce eyes.
Don't change the subject.
It's quite obvious that she's intimidated by Sino's authority.
Right. You were asking about the
She corrected herself mid-sentence because she's aware that there are Scarlet King fanatics in the village. If she sounds too...
I think it's been a few days since I last saw them. I usually go to bed pretty early.
Remember? She made a point of denying her involvement in any...
But honestly, I feel quite sympathetic towards them. Even though they act a little strange.
After speaking to the village chief, it became clear that the village keepers had protected Aru Village at night.
Then, why would she...
By getting involved with an outsider, she risks drawing unwanted attention to herself.
I'll pass on this one. You said that she is afraid of me.
We're on it!
Miss Shawnee, as we discussed earlier,
Mr. Alhaitham, I'm aware of where you...
Huh? What do you mean?
Go ahead and talk to her. You'll get the answers. Go on. Earn her trust.
Is it really that simple?
May I call you hi, Traveler. Do you think the resurrection of the Scarlet King can truly change Sumeru for the better? Why's that? That's very similar to what Miss Candace says. I know you two are friends. Before, I wouldn't even have the Traveler, do you believe our lives will get better?
Yeah! We came here from another nation, so it isn't wrong of you to be weary. But even so, we've met lots of people from different places. We have friends in Sumeru, and we want to help them. That's why we
I want to trust you. My apologies for posing my questions like that. To be honest...
Alhaitham told us you have your reasons. It's okay.
The fact is that I'm... only one side of my family. Some believe in the Dendro Archon, while others believe in the Scarlet King.
Speaking of which, the Radicals mentioned that they despise traitors. Do they just...
Yeah. Some people can be so narrow-minded when it comes to bloodline and beliefs. Slowly, I just stopped talking to people. I pretended not to and then it happened. The village keepers who had helped me disappeared with no explanation.
You can tell them. I'm sure she'll keep...
All right. I actually have a sharper sense of hearing than most. Sometimes...
There are
Perhaps. I'm not sure. It's faint, but it's definitely the sound of... It used to be louder and more frequent. But ever since you arrived in the village, it doesn't seem to happen as...
I confirmed this with the guards on night duty. They also have someone with a good ear. But, because we're in the middle of a desert, you would rather believe that they are the cries of beasts.
There's really nothing around these parts.
I think they used to use it for treating eleazar, but it's been abandoned for years.
Yeah, let's go! With the wind. Oh, is this the place? It's in terrible shape. Ah, monsters, watch out!
One with nature, as one with wind and cloud.
Cross over! Go!
Into the wind. Clouds high, the birds call.
No, my sword! Time to act. Not good. Opening box of adept tricks.
The wind knows me.
Let me weave you a verse.
Higher, higher, hands on fire!
Fallen leaves, adorn my night.
Rain outlines your fate.
They were easier to deal with than Paimon had expected. Super strong bandits? Or monsters He looks super serious. We gotta stay on our A game too.
This is the one. Let's go in and take a look. Patience. Shawnee says she only hears the crying at night. We have time to... Until then... I'm taking a break.
And just like that, he sits down. What are you reading? Let Paimon see!
Okay, sure.
Huh? The natural position, which is the position...
So...
Oh, Paimon gives up. You keep reading your book. See ya! How is he so relaxed? Look at him, reading an impossible book in a creepy place like this. Hey, Paimon's your Tibet travel guide. And anyway, it's not Paimon's fault that the books people read in Sumeru are so Paimon's getting so sleepy. Huh? What was that sound?
There it is. It's coming from that direction.
Is the sound coming from here? Huh. Paimon's not seeing anything.
It's from below.
But there's no way we...
Something is off about the interior here. As I thought, there's a hidden...
Wow. It's like they tucked another... Oh, it looks like there are other mechanisms around. I'll ensure your safety. Yeah.
That's close enough. One with nature.
Time to go!
Into the wind. The wind knows me.
As one with wind and cloud.
sacred name, Fortune Preserver. See?
Into the wind.
Wheel of life. Time to go!
The wind knows me. One with nature. Clouds high, the birds call.
Higher, higher, pants on fire!
Look! There's someone over there! Good idea! Let's approach him
Wait. You're...
He can't speak, and his eyes are Also, why is he the only...
Didn't expect to see him here.
You know him?
He's Razak, a senior of mine at the academia.
He's a scholar too? Is he the kind that holds up in a...
No. And that's the problem. Razak was never involved in any of those things. He never trained in the forest, let alone... Leaving that question aside for the moment. Him being... Looks like they've already taken everyone away. For whatever reason, they left Razak here. There are drag marks on the ground. They're clearer by the doorway. Someone was forcefully drawing a...
Loaded with...
That is one possibility. It looks like they were in a hurry. The symptoms are identical. Look...
Huh?
Allow me to jog your memory. Recall, don't you think his symptoms look familiar?
Oh! Now that you mention it...
Correct. The Academia's... It isn't difficult to deduce the... First, the Academia spread a false rumor of the Scarlet King's resurrection, emphasizing the role of the village keepers. These rumors were all the persuasion that the radicals needed, and those based in Aru village leapt into it, as well as being able to exploit the radicals for their own ends. This scheme has one further advantage. Life for the desert dwellers has been brutal ever since the Scarlet King's death all those years ago. Many would give everything they have for the prospect of something better. Even if complications arise, people will see that those involved are all followers of the Scarlet King and look for no further explanation than differences of belief. The notion of an academia plot wouldn't even cross their minds. It may seem like a simple strategy.
Oh, that lot of sense. But there's still one very important question. Wasn't it the academia that...
Throughout this process, one thing has changed. First, they were scholars. Then, they became lunatics. After that, they were... An exile is still patently a living, breathing human being. If you can't find someone, you have no way of knowing what exactly happened to them.
Resource?
One possibility is that the information in their brains could be
Extracted? You mean... can't...
With the technology of the Sumeru Academia, perhaps the process caused them great suffering, which is...
So, the human brain...
I'm the Academia scribe, after all. Anyway, judging by Razak's state, the contents of a divine knowledge capsule were... Or perhaps, his curiosity got the best...
Paimon's a little confused.
The look on your face tells me you've realized the answer. That's right. To some scholars, gaining knowledge about the gods is their entire life's pursuit. However, I can't help but wonder. The Academia is going out of their way to look for forbidden knowledge. I've spent quite some time trying to analyze the contents of the divine knowledge capsule, but to no avail. It seems...
You mean you're not even slightly interested in getting...
All scholars seek to expand the horizons of knowledge, but I'm not particularly interested in extracting information from people as if they were lifeless objects. If this is the direct...
Sounds like you're really against all this.
Of course. The Academia's actions run... Whether it be academics or knowledge, everything has its boundaries. If this matter needs to be corrected, just like fixing a typo...
Wait! Didn't you step in to help because you felt...
Not to be callous, but no. There is no shortage of suffering in Sumeru, and the same can be said for the rest...
Probably not. Paimon...
You can say that. Simply put, I don't blindly play... The divine knowledge capsule is something I want to investigate in full. That doesn't mean...
Paimon's been wanting to say this for a while. There are a lot of bad guys in the Academia, but
you're... Though I must say, I quite enjoy this feeling of... Uniqueness is also an asset, is it not?
Wow, that's a great way to think about it. Paimon's really impressed.
I'm just a more likable person than her in general. He won't last long if we leave him here. We'll work out our next step after we return to Aru.
We're back!
You must be tired. You should rest.
What's the situation?
Unfortunately, somebody who's too young to take on the role of Isak's grandfather.
So, at one point in time, the abandoned
Yep, pretty much.
Their plan must have been implemented at some point before we arrived at Aru village. Yet, they fled once we were headed to the village.
We may have a mole in our midst. One of us could be secretly revealing our whereabouts to the...
Huh? Are our friendships that...
Looks like none of you have realized wherein lies the issue. Sino, you're the reason why they can
Wait, what's that supposed to mean?
Choose your next words very carefully.
It is simply a logical inference.
So what you're saying is... Interesting. And here I thought you were the most suspicious one.
I know. You have a point. But I realized something as we were returning from the hospital. Sino is...
What are you trying to say?
Do you still remember who you are, General Ma? As a Matra, you are no doubt privy to certain kinds of information. Before you can take it, simply put, the academia has traditionally allowed you access to a wealth of sensitive information. If you want to raise a vicious wolf, you need to make sure...
The academia is...
It's not that simple. The academia has eyes all over Sumeru, but they have every so often comes on Yagarbaha Day. On this day, the academia enters new... I remember seeing the thick notebook next to the control panel once. Its contents were all about the
You're saying that the academia entered my information in... But what's the point in doing that? My actions aren't important.
The Akasha is capable of computation. The Akasha's algorithms are entirely capable of predicting your movements using the data entered. When you...
It predicted my every...
The academia has been watching you longer than you think.
So that's how it is. Sino adheres to his principles. Tenacity of will and steadfast faith are worthless to the academia. They need scholars who are easily pliable and Sino, don't take it to heart. This just...
They escaped because of me.
Don't blame yourself. It's not like any of us would have known.
I have an idea. If they predicted my movements, then I might be able to guess where they were.
Whoa, you bounced back fast.
There is always an opportunity for safety after...
Oh, so that's how it is! If the academia is trying to avoid Sino. Yep, that's right!
They'll want to proceed in the direction opposite of where I'm going. I must go.
There's also something I want to investigate.
Let's go, guys! Please, wait! I want to go...
You want to go too?
I want to find Grandpa. I promise.
Everyone, I leave him in your hands.
Yay! Let's go! Remember, Paimon feels like we're missing...
Yes. After leaving the village, we should head straight toward the desert.
I know the desert like the back of my hand.
Is that because you play here a lot?
Yep. One time, Grandpa almost got lost in the desert, but I was the one who brought him back.
There's something here. What's this?
It's buried in the sand.
And Paimon thought running around everywhere was already enough work. Okay. So, we have to
These are likely fragments of an academia-developed device. Looks like there were more than one village keeper. They must have been escorted. Let's split up and search the area. Chances are...
Is this what we're searching for?
This is definitely a device used to extract divine knowledge.
How did it end up buried in the sand? They must have been attacked along the way.
Wait, what?
Grandpa, I hope you're okay.
Don't worry, your grandpa's gonna be fine.
Razak didn't display any signs of starvation or dehydration, which means
We should be able to catch.
one more thing. I believe the attack must have happened prior to the sandstorm.
Let's keep going. They can't have gone.
Ugh, but running on sand is so tiring.
But you're flying, aren't you, Paimon? Is flying over sand tiring too?
Ugh, of course it is.
Voices, over there. It sounds like an argument.
Whoa, you have really good ears.
Don't get any closer. They'll notice us.
Dia's talking with the Eremites? Very interesting. Let's listen.
If you had informed me sooner, there'd be plenty
You're one of us. We would never lie.
scholars. You don't know as much as I...
I knew it. That...
Dia? Why would you? Dia!
Hey, what are you doing?
Huh?
Didn't you say you'd help me find Grandpa?
Well, look who's here.
This complicates...
You've betrayed Aru Village?
So, this is the great General... Dear, you'd be better off as my assistant than hanging around with this motley crew. Seen for...
I'm not the type that's easily swayed, Raman. You of all people should...
Wait, what's going on, Dia? Whose side are you on here?
Shut it, Paimon.
It doesn't matter. Whichever side you pick, nothing could deter us from the grand mission of resurrecting the Scar...
Face the facts, Raman. It's not gonna happen. You should understand that more than anyone. Have all your years...
I'm a desert dweller and a proud follower of the Scarlet King. Whether I live by the edge of...
It's not too late yet. The village keep... Mad scholars aren't gonna bring the Scarlet...
You don't understand, my dear lady. Pursuing our faith is our...
Even if it'll expose you to the academia? Even if they end up disbanding the Eremites? Your Erem...
Yes. We've waited a long time for this day to come. The sun and the moon no longer shine here. With these scholars in our custody, we'll stomp the academia's...
Ridiculous. Think about it. The academia controls... If you still don't believe me, then try asking these two men. They're also against...
They look more like pawns of the academia to me. Filthy traitors. Your god abandoned all on...
It's impossible to... Perhaps we should.
Do you really believe that by kidnapping the scholars, you'll be able to negotiate with the academia? These people have no value as bargaining chips. But I could be persuaded. These scholars were exiled from the academia. I, on the other hand...
Wait, you can't be...
So, you want to...
Precisely. And...
What are you thinking? What if they decide to kill you instead?
well, that would be bad luck for me. However, I'd get the chance to observe the scholars. Perhaps...
Think you can talk me over with the...
I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm using...
You are the scribe. What do you have against the act?
Not all desert dwellers believe in the Scarlet King, and the same applies to the academia. Why must all knowledge seekers...
You academia scum. Every last one of you is nothing but a hypocrite, just like...
Not so fast. I'll hate them. Do you stand by everything you just said? You know you're making a dangerous decision.
I do.
Good. Raman, hear me out. These people are my friends. Maybe you can't take the
We've known each other for years.
In that case, I'm willing to vouch for their honesty with my Come on, Raman, don't be a coward. If you're serious about taking
An arm from the flame... But what if you refuse to oblige? What should I do then? No one's a fool here, Dia.
You're not wrong, but this is different. I promised my friends that we'd bring back...
Let's do it right here, then. Give me your right arm as proof of your resolve.
Don't listen to him! He's not even trying to negotiate!
That's fine.
Are you crazy?
We came here to save lives. One arm for that many people is still a pretty good deal, if you ask me.
Sure. Go ahead and cut off her right arm.
No! Dia! What are you gonna do? Think of something!
You don't have to go this far.
That's not for you to decide.
Do it!
Dia! Run!
Stop!
What's wrong? Can't do it?
Flame Mane, you and I are both desert folk. Cutting off your arm is no... You've shown me that you're serious. Go on now, take your friends and leave.
Phew. I was really counting on him not...
Dia! That was crazy! Have you all lost your minds? What?
Then I just have to hold my claymore with my left arm. Okay, I'm sorry.
Don't ever make a promise like that again. I can deal with if it came down to it.
I don't doubt it, Sino. But this is about more than me and them. Even if we got rid of one bunch of radicals, there are others.
I'm sorry, Dia. I should have stayed put and listened.
It's okay. I promised you I'd help find your grandpa.
Whatever it takes? You just might be skull.
Huh? Are you
The Eremites once said that I was a lunatic. Perhaps a little madness.
Why does it feel like he's using his praise for me as an excuse to brag about himself? Okay, let's get moving. We should head back to the village and rest up.